Thank you so much. I know we are between you and a fashion show and dinner, but I have this opportunity of talking to the senior team from one of the most iconic companies in the country. Iconic for what it has done for the consumer, the trust and the respect that it commands, the team that it has created, the culture that pervades the organization. And being a finance guy, I can't but not talk about numbers, the value it has created. As I was looking at the numbers over the last 10 years, Titan has grown its revenues by 4 times. You would say, well, that's all right, but this is from a 10,000 crore to a almost 40,000 crore company. And each year except COVID, it's grown, and profits have similarly grown by 4.5 times. And what this has done is that the markets have rewarded it by taking the market cap up from about 20,000 crore to 2 lakh crores. This is one of the most valuable companies, and this is the team that represents each of the businesses that has made it happen. What I'm going to do to start off with is to request all of you to probably, speak a minute about some aspect of the business that you run, which is different, or any anecdote that you remember, something that can help our audience get some insights into Titan.
Good evening, everyone. I head the Watches and Wearables division, and I think the story is that while continuing to maintain a very high market share and leadership position in the analog fashion market, we have also made a lot of strides in the emerging wearable smartwatches market in the last 2 years. And the consumer has adopted both. Both watches and smartwatches are growing, albeit at different rates and on different bases. And I think the uniqueness of the product and the benefit to the consumer, one remains a timeless accessory, a style statement, and often a status symbol. And the other is a very useful and productive device strapped to your body that gives you a lot of information about your health, your fitness, notifications about your work or other social media. So I think the really interesting part of the watches and wearables business is how do we grow it's really a startup within a company, as well as at the same time work on maintaining and enhancing a leadership position in an established category.
Great. Thank you, Suparna, and good evening, everyone. It's a delight. I'm really delighted to be here. I'm going to talk about Taneira. Taneira is the youngest division from Titan Company, and it is in the women's ethnic wear space. We have 38 stores across the country, and we offer design-differentiated saris and ready-to-wear kurtas made from pure and natural fibers and collected from across 100 weaving clusters of the country. We celebrate and we aim to preserve the diverse textile crafts that we have in our beautiful country, and we celebrate the craftsmanship and the creative genius of our weavers. We try to bring the best of India in under one roof in our stores. So one trivia that would like to talk about, it's not very widely known, is the work that we do with weavers. Though we celebrate the weavers, but we know that their working conditions and they are facing many challenges. To name a few, like how powerloom is taking over handloom, how synthetic fibers are taking over pure and natural fibers, and how the second generation of weavers is not willing to continue to weave, and how even the current weavers are leaving their jobs and taking on odd jobs. To take care of and to tackle these challenges that they're facing, we've launched a program called Weaver Shala, And the aim of Vivashala is to upgrade the infrastructure of the weavers, the way they weave, and also upgrade and uplift their design capabilities and their technical expertise. We have 4 such Vivashalas already in the country, and we aim to get to about 50 in the next 4 to 5 years. So that's one trivia I thought I'll talk about.
Wow,
Thank you.
That's having your heart in the right place.
Hi, this is Manish. Very excited to be here. So, I'm managing the fragrances and fashion accessories part of the business. I think it's a very exciting category, maybe the most exciting category. So there are 2 businesses there. One is the fine fragrance and other is the bags business. So in the fragrances business, of course, the wicked challenge is that the consumer penetration is low, but Skin brand has done exceptionally well, which is basically it's crafted in France, as good as any international brand at a very affordable price. That's the basic customer value proposition. And many of you would already know that it's the #1 brand for the last 5 years in department chains. So it's a very well distributed, something like 2,000 plus doors in general trade, e-commerce, and across the channel. So it's fantastic to be there. And some interesting things are going to happen in the future, and how we target the mass fragrance part. The second part of the business is the bags business, where we just launched a new brand. We were always there for about 8 to 10 years with the Fast Track Girls Bag. And we just launched Earth brand about a few months ago in October. And so I think we have a stall outside. Many of you would have seen it. So it's basically a brand which is, the proposition is thoughtfully designed bags for women who are leading active lifestyle to make a difference to their life and their journeys. So that's the key proposition and white space that we're operating in. And we're very excited about it. And I think we'll discuss more as we go. Thank you.
Thanks, Manish. I'm going to ask Arun to go next, and I'll bring up the rear end.
Evening, everyone. I know it's been a long day, but thank you for being here. And thanks, Images and Shailesh, for having us here. I represent a brand that just turned 25, just over a year back. It's a brand that today is present in about 250 cities in the country. We just crossed 400 stores a couple of months back. And it's a brand that began in tough times, pretty much, you could say, a rags to riches kind of story. We've seen tough days in our initial times. And perhaps in the last couple of decades, the brand has come to its own from about 2005 onwards. Tanishq is a special brand, a brand that has been built with a lot of love and care. I've been involved in the brand last 3 years, but it's a brand that's been built with a lot of love and care by many teams over the last 2 decades, and owes its success to 2 people, women in India, who've given us the confidence to do many things and who've been strongly behind the brand, and people in our stores who've really been our ambassadors for brand Tanishq. So a couple of years back, we had a tough decision to take just before COVID hit us, which is to let go of a national face and go in without a model, which is kind of went against the grain of thought. But we did that only with the confidence that we have 8,000 ambassadors for the brand in all our stores, and many million women who stand strongly behind the brand. So that's really the story of Tanishq, and we owe it to many women across the country and many of you lovely women in the room. So thank you for being in our corner.
So, guys who are running brands and finding that things are tough, keep hope. Tanishq also felt the initial years were tough. Many years were tough.
Okay, the reason I wanted to come last was I represent the newest kid on the block, Titan's international business. And the good thing is, therefore, I look at all the other 5 businesses that we have: watches, jewelry, eye care, fragrances, and Tanera. It's really been an exciting story the last few years. We started doing international business pretty much as soon as we opened the company. 25 plus years ago, we took watches around the world. We were present in more than 30 countries today. And that's really helped build our presence across the world. But we felt that the opportunity is much larger. Today, diaspora Indians are amongst the most successful set of diaspora people around the world, numbering around 32 million. I mean, just the 7 million that you find in North America between Canada and the US are probably the wealthiest set of Indians anywhere in the world. And, like Arun mentioned, a brand like Tanishq was waiting to be taken to them. 3 things Indians do when they come back to India. 1, they get their teeth fixed. 2nd, they buy eyewear. And 3rd, they go to Tanishq. Fortunately, we are present in 2 of those categories. And therefore, it made a lot of sense for us to take Tanishq across. And wherever we've opened Tanishqs, it's been met with a tremendous response. People are flocking to the stores. It's pretty much like IKEA coming to India. It's the reverse of that, right? Tanishq going to New Jersey or Tanishq going to Dubai is like IKEA coming to Bangalore. Many of us are familiar with the brand. We shop it when we travel outside. The reverse is what the diaspora Indians are doing. So that's really the story that we are looking at. The opportunity is huge, and there are other great Indian examples. If you look at the two-wheeler industry today, Bajaj, Hero, TVS, all of them have substantial businesses outside of India. More than 50% of Bajaj's turnover comes from outside of India, and about 55% of their profits come from outside of India. So in two-wheelers below 600 cc's, Indian brands are really ruling the roost. And there's no reason why in the lifestyle business we can't do that. So the opportunity we feel is huge, it's tremendous. Also, when we work internationally across different markets, we learn a lot. The customers are sometimes a little bit more evolved than what we see. We bring in a lot of those practices. For example, retail practices, and you only have to go as far as Dubai to see that today. I mean, Dubai, I think, has caught up with New York, London, San Francisco, Paris. It's today up there, both in terms of retail, in terms of, let's say, entertainment opportunities, and even in terms of art. I mean, there's enough to do in that city. So some of these are what we believe will help us mature as a company. One is the opportunity. The second is that it teaches us a lot of things that we think will make us stronger brands and a better company. Thank you.
It's so amazing that this is a company which is so large, but seeking out opportunity anywhere, everywhere and anywhere. And if I just think back and look at it, jewelry, unorganized, difficult to get into segment, and they made a success out of it. Eyewear, again, completely unorganized, fragmented, and they made a success out of it. And now, saris. Guys, अगर आपको कोई difficult category समझ में आ रही हो तो इनको बता दीजिए. I think they'll get into it. So here,
Maybe the teeth opportunity is something we should
I
look
thought
at.
that was a hint that Dini, you were giving that that's the next category you're getting into.
If we can fix eyes, then surely teeth are not that far behind. Ears also, yeah.
So here's a question for you, Ambuj. You have the youngest business in the group.
Yeah.
Are you treated like an orphan? ये छोटा सा 50, 60, 100 करोड़ का धंधा 10,000 करोड़ के कंपनी में 40,000 करोड़ की कंपनी में
Certainly not. And I would just like to clarify, if I sounded very serious early on, we are not a serious brand. We are a very young and fun brand. And probably when we do the ramp walk, we will see the kind of saris that we bring out. And they are actually meant to appeal to the young and a lot of young women in the crowd. So right there at the right time. And no, I don't because though we are a new business and I don't really have, I don't have dreams, I don't get these dreams about jis din paisa hoga, wo din kaisa hoga. Like a lot of maybe my friends here would be wondering, because if I need funding, I just have to look to my left and look to my extreme right, and they provide all the funding to me. And so thank you, Suparna. Thank you, Arun. Wonderful stories we've had of 25 years and maybe 35 years. So I'm treated like a new kid on the block, and I have a lot of liberties, is all I can say.
So those of you who have teenage children at home still, we've been trying unsuccessfully to get our son to leave home. So Ambuj, Manish, and me are like that. You know, these guys are like the parents who we lean on when we need a larger allowance or a little bit more money to spend on A&P and other things.
So Arun, how do you feel about that, all this responsibility of bringing in the money and these kids spend it all?
See, you've got one parent that saw success from day one. And you have the other parent as an example who's seen really bad days, struggled, and kind of made it a success. So you've got two, kind of role models. So watches,
Suparna seems to be listening.
watches
this is
saw
the
success
thing.
from day
if
one.
This family drama has to be taken to its logical conclusion. Eventually, the parents will go to old age home, and the new kids in the block will be having a big party.
Manish, I would like you to step in. How do you feel as the new kid on the block?
No, I think it's very exciting. Just to be on a serious note, when we had...
Serious allowed nahi hai idhar.
Serious allowed nahi hai? Yeah, so I think my boss claims that he is spending 20% on my business. So you can imagine my plight. So that is the kind of focus which Venkat brings to the new businesses, in fact, including Tanara and IBD and us. And there's a lot of fun and there's a lot of freedom, as Ambuj said. And certainly we are freed from the profitability pressure so much and basically going for scale. That is what we're operating on right now.
I think this is an amazing story where you have businesses which are generating cash, continuing to grow, and then at the same time there are several seeds sowed which can blossom into flowers and large trees over time, and there is complete kind of protection from the top to say that these are experiments which must succeed. But I'm going to ask you, and any one of you can answer. I'm sure you would have had some failures. If you'd like to talk about stuff that went wrong, you had to shut down.
I think I'll talk a little about Gold Plus. Yeah. It's an interesting story. I don't know, how many of you have ever heard of Gold Plus? Two people in the room, I think both from South India. So Gold Plus was a retail chain for jewelry, primarily gold, not so much studded, which was there from around 2004-05 till about 2012 or 13. I was at that time from 2012 to 15 the regional business head for South. So I was the only regional business head who had that additional chain called Gold Plus. And it was not easy. It was hard to establish the brand, the competition in South, which was very, very strong in gold jewelry. And eventually, much later, we took the decision of folding Gold Plus into the larger Tanishq brand. And I think the purpose of Gold Plus, in a way, that brand served its purpose because it made those markets. And I'm talking about tier 2, 3 towns in Tamil Nadu, AP, Telangana, Karnataka, and a little bit of Maharashtra.
So what I'm hearing Suparna say is that make mistakes. Even if you have failures, after 10 years, nobody will remember.
Yeah, nobody remembers. Like, it was alive to me because I was part of that decision. And of course, we took care of all the employees, and many of the franchisees became Tanishq franchisees. It was an emotional decision, but essentially quite painless.
So I'm going to ask one question, and then maybe if somebody has questions from the audience, which is, yours is a fantastic team. You've created significant value. If any of you would like to talk about the culture, what is it that has made this organization what it is, and the people what they are? The parents or the kids, whoever wants to talk.
So let me talk about that.
The grandfather.
From the perspective of an outsider, I'm a relative newbie to Titan. I've been with the Tata Group my entire career, but joined Titan in 2015. And one of the things that my previous role in the Tata Group was a role with the Tata Business Excellence Program, part of Tata Sons, which in a way afforded me a fly-on-the-wall perspective of a bunch of Tata companies. And the one thing that you noticed right thereon was that the culture in Titan was significantly different from many other companies and even from other Tata companies. There was a lot of outspokenness, there was a lot of freedom, there was a lot of ability to express what you wanted to say without any fear. There was a willingness to experiment. And I would say that one of the reasons why in 2015, when my wife and I were looking to move to Bangalore, I chose to approach Bhaskar and Titan was the fact that I really think it has amongst the best cultures in corporate India. And the interesting thing there is it's got to do a lot with the leaders and their personality styles. I think Xerxes first, Bhaskar next, and now Venkat, who's our current MD. That aspect of Titanism, sorry, I didn't get that right. Titanness is something that permeates the whole system, and it is not individual dependent. You know, we often say that it's something that's now nobody can change even if they wanted to. It's become endemic. So I think to me, that's the perspective. I don't know what you guys have to say. You might.
No, I'll just add one more point to that. Apart from the restlessness that's there, just to connect to the earlier point I made on the two key people that are important in our lives, and it goes back to the care the organization prioritizes for people. And I'll just take you back to COVID. And in the initial days, there was so much of uncertainty and anxiety that the organization decided two things. We are largely a franchised network. We have very few company-owned stores. So a lot of our business comes from partners. But one thing we laid out on day one to all our partners is irrespective of what happens, irrespective of when stores will open, and irrespective of when lockdown gets over, you are going to pay salaries to each and every employee as if nothing has changed. And whatever we need to do, we will do to support you. The second thing, and I think this pretty much came from our teams, is that I think about maybe 1.5 million customers were contacted across all our businesses only to ask them, how are you doing and do you need help? Because we have stores in more than 300 towns across the country. All of them are managed by partners. And each partner has the wherewithal to step in and help customers wherever they are. And we made 1.5 million what we had called as empathy calls. And this came spontaneously from our teams. It was not top-down, not dictated. It is just the teams on the ground who said, we just have to call customers and not talk about dhanda, but just say, how are you doing? Do you need help? And some amazing stuff happened from the teams. There are stores which made lists of doctors who are customers saying, kuch hai to this is a list of doctors we can call if some customers need help. And there are others who organized various things from city to city just to kind of pitch in. So there's just something which is decentralized and which we just blessed, I think, with people down the line who just think and do things in the interests of customers. And I don't know whether it's culture or what it is, we're just blessed. I'll just leave it at that.
I totally agree. I think there are two quotes which I want to make, which are often talked about in Titan. One was a phrase that Bhaskar Bhatt, our earlier MD, used a lot, and it's kind of got ingrained in a lot of us, which is unconditional positive regard for the individual. Unconditional. Not because you're a good performer or whatever. Every single employee is respected, and there is positive regard for people. And the second statement is something that Venkat, our current MD, boss, talks a lot. And it is actually, it was a little bit in display in the earlier little banter, that we take our work very seriously, but we don't take ourselves very seriously. And that's very important, I think, to be just grounded and simple and have fun at work. I mean, all of those metrics, you know, you say 2 lakh crores, it is a meaningless metric for us because we are not thinking about it. We are just doing our work with all our teams and we are having fun and hopefully doing some good work. I think that's really where the impulse of the organization is. I don't think any of us are watching stock price. We are watching customer metrics, and that's really quite deeply ingrained.
I know we were discussing that Titan has received yet another award, the Best Company of the Year award today. And people will say, yeah, it's okay, we keep getting these awards every year.
So I think we got a little bit serious, just to add some fun elements to the company culture. So not only my division is a new kid on the block, even I'm a new kid on the block. Just completed my first year in Titan this month. And in Titan, we don't talk in years, we talk in decades. So like Suparna would have completed 3 decades, so, you know, likewise. So Arun would have completed 3 decades. So we talk in decades. And one great thing that I found out of coming here is that there's a lot of singing, you know. And Venkat leads the pack. He's a singer, and no party ever ends without singing. The entire leadership sings. Yeah, the parties end at 3 a.m. That's another thing.
So that's the key message for me. Please sing in your office parties and don't end them before 3 a.m.
The other fun fact is there is no dress code. Okay, as Suparna said, we take ourselves very, you know, the business very seriously, but we take ourselves very casually. So there is no dress code. And the first board meeting I was supposed to attend, and I asked, so what's the dress code? We all have to come like, you know, in blazers or suits. And I had invested in a suit. And we were told, there's no dress code. You come as you are, come as you like. That was something very, you know, astounding to find that, you know, in the board meeting there is no dress code. So overall, a great fun company to work with is my, you know, what I feel after my first year at Titan.
Just to add, you know, I'm finishing 7 years now, and having worked with companies like iSure, Asian Paints, and Dell. So 2 things which are very remarkable, and which probably, you know, expresses the way it is. One is that, you know, Bhaskar often used to say, you know, we don't monitor performance, we inspire performance. That is one thing. So therefore, you know, he was my boss. I was asking, why don't you ask me numbers? And he would never do that and said, we inspire performance. That is one thing which is very clearly indicative. And second thing was, Venkat told once that, you know, this is a place where ordinary people come and do extraordinary things. So these 2 statements, I think, left a very indelible impression, at least on me. And even the vision statement is like creating elevating experiences for the people we touch. You know, all these things are very people-focused organization, and it's something which strikes you when you join the company. You don't feel intimidated, you feel very welcomed, people share information. And that's the first feeling that, I mean, I've checked with so many people, and most people talk about that. It's a very warm culture, very people-oriented culture.
This is
This
so
is
amazing.
the point at which we say all CVs are welcome. You know who to, there's so much of selling of the company as a place to work.
This has been an amazing talk. I think, you know, a very successful company, but I got a chance to spend time with all of the gentlemen and the lady here. Completely down to earth, amazing work culture, and the way they've created value is amazing. I think we should now probably let the fashion show start, and thank you so much. Thank you.